Dr. Richardson, Jim, coaches, and new friends today. This has been just plain fun. And I don't know what people will think when I go home talking about being in the company today of a golfer and a couple fast women. I don't know what's going to happen. Very definitely, I'm honored tonight. But I'll tell you, it'd be the height of hypocrisy if I tried to be humble. So I'll just let her loose with whatever happens in the next few minutes. It was 60 years ago this month that I was a freshman here. Grew up 7.5 miles north of the college on a dairy farm, which is all grown up to forest. Now the house where I was born in, that house is just complete shambles, unbelievable. And every time we come east, I usually go by it. And then I look in the mirror. Sure enough, the house is beat up, but I've changed a little bit too. The first time in September, 60 years ago, that I ran the cross-country course, we took off down the football field and went south on Market Street all the way to the end, turned right at the stop sign, went up some schoolhouse road, and then we came back into town on the Newcastle Road here, down Newcastle Street. And Coach Cleve Oliver, who was new here that year, said, "Joe, how did it go for you?" And I said, "Well, Coach, I didn't overly like it, but I sure gave it hell going down the President's Hill." And he said, "You what?" I said, "I went pretty fast, Coach." He was different. That wasn't the kind of coach that I was used to being around. And he was a strong Christian. And over the course of the next few years, while Cleve and I became closer and closer as friends, told me several times, he said, "Joe," he said, "you may be a good guy, but you need Jesus Christ in your life." And I said, "Well, maybe someday, Coach." Well, it was 5 years after I left Westminster. I was teaching the evolution of social behavior in the insects at Rutgers University. In my beekeeping class, I had several lectures along that line. Through a church that my wife dragged me to, I came to Jesus. And that was, here I am as a preacher with a 5-minute message. Place your bets. I was a 3-year letterman in track because I was only in track 3 years. My first semester sophomore year, I went on probation, academic. Got to know the dean fairly well. And second semester, I made the mistake of not taking quite enough hours, and I failed a 4-hour analytic geometry class that I didn't even need. And because I hadn't passed at least 12 hours, I had 2 A's, a B plus a C, and an F. I went on probation 2 semesters in a row, so I had the fall of 1960 off. Worked with about 10 different Amishmen building a cement block pig barn. And mud, Joe, mud. I was the hod carrier for Amish. And when I decided I wanted to come back to Westminster, I was able to write a very heartfelt letter to Dr. Forey, the academic dean at that time, to see if I could get back in. And I got back in, made the other dean's list before I was out. But those were 2 wasted track seasons, because when I came back in January, I was still on probation. So I missed 2 track seasons, and by what was finally my junior year, I was ready to fly. I just worked and worked and worked, and I was ready to break the record in a quarter mile, our first meet. And we were short of speed demons at that time, and Coach had me running the 100 and the 200, and then I anchored the mile relay, which I've told Adam. I said, Adam, I still have gone around this track faster than you because I had a 47-8 split, and I lost by this much a guy from Slippery Rock. Sorry about that. It was an honor I said it was one of the greatest honors I've ever had when Adam asked me to hold the blocks. And tonight, maybe that, Adam, but thank you for wonderful memories, and very glad for the memories here. But I want to do show and tell just a little bit tonight. My grandfather, Linus, Bonnie Brown's grandfather, Bonnie Brown Stewart. Her grandfather was Charlie Brown, mine was Linus. Peanut fans. That's been fun to tell people now and then. But I brought some stuff in. Forget what I ought to show you first. Here I am, kind of antiquated, but I got some stuff that's even more antiquated than I am. This pewter cup has the name on here, L.E. Stewart. This was Grandpa's senior trophy, I think, from being on the Westminster track team. I didn't wash it, but I really brushed a lot of dust off it and out of it. Grandpa was buried on my 9th birthday. He never knew that I became a runner. I had the mile record for a few years at Mercer High School, where I graduated. But I always thought of Grandpa, and because we lived so close to the college, and because this is where he came, this was the only college I ever intended to come to. And my intent when I came here in picking biology as a major, I wanted to be a game warden in Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania game protector, wear a badge. And that didn't happen, partly because of my academic adventure. This is something probably none of you have ever seen. I had some kind of relative email me a few years ago a picture of Grandpa with these in his hands. All I knew was these were called running corks. Sprinters ran with these things, you know, no weight to speak of. They thought they were faster, I guess, when they carried the corks. So, momentum, or artifacts when you get this old. I wore, I think, Paul, when I set the record, which was over at Baldwin Wallace, the next week after I didn't get to run it here, I wore Grandpa's 1905 woolen Westminster track jersey. And I'll tell you that it had, 50, from 1905 to 1958, that it had 53 years of benefiting moths. It had holes all over it. And, but I wore that, I kept somewhere about a clipping picture and a little article about it in the Newcastle News. So running corks. Something else here that you can probably relate to just slightly better is a student handbook. Student handbook, 1905, 1906. Why Grandpa had it? He graduated in 1905. I don't know. Picture of Robert Gracie Ferguson, the Westminster president at that time, in here. And it also has there's a picture of Grandpa on this page with the relay team that has the Westminster Athletic records, track records from 1905. 100-yard dash, 10 flat. 220-yard dash, 22 3/5 seconds. 440-yard dash, 51 3/5 seconds. They also had a 2-mile bicycle. They had a high kick. They had, and I have never known what this was, the 880 half mile, the 880-yard hose run, which was a world's record for Westminster College. 2 minutes, 33 3/5 seconds. And I asked people 60 years ago, what was the hose record? Nobody knows. Some of you history majors, I think it's time to head for the library and see what you can dig up. Well, here's the other thing. How many of you graduates have a copy of the Argo, the yearbook? Here is the 1904 yearbook of Westminster College, the first Argo that was ever printed. And again, I rummaged this stuff out of the attic at home. And it has in here a picture of the track team of Westminster 1904. And Grandpa's name there, L.E. Stewart. He ran the 100-yard dash, the 220, the quarter mile, which was the record that we shared together, and the relay team. And he, and I don't know who the other members were, they ran in the World's Fair in St. Louis, relay, the Westminster relay team, 1904, I think it was. So I thought of Grandpa all these years, and that's why I came to Westminster. And he had the spirit of Westminster. He loved this place, and I do too. And I thank you for the honor of being